We're helping the technicians actually make more money by doing jobs faster. The businesses make more money because they're doing more jobs in less hours. And then the customers are getting a better experience. So we're putting together these plans for hundreds of home service companies in the trades. And we're seeing their performance improve pretty drastically.
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan Englin, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a Titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Back to another episode. I'm your host, Ryan Englin. This is Titans of the Trades. Today's guest is really looking at how do we motivate our people? How do we motivate our technicians? How do we motivate our crews? How do we just in general motivate our people to do more, to think like an owner, to maybe even have that feeling of ownership without having any equity or anything else? We're going to dig deep into incentive plans, how we can make sure that they work well, how we track them well, everything else. I want to introduce on today's show, Ryan Shank, the CEO of ShareWillow. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this is going to be fun because I think there's so much that we have in common, the way we're solving this problem to get people to complete jobs faster, to keep quality high, to motivate and incentivize them. Tell us a little about what you're up to at ShareWillow.
Yeah, so ShareWillow, we've been around for almost 3 years now, which is pretty crazy. And we're helping companies in the trade, service businesses, home service businesses, create and manage incentive plans. And what we say is we're really this compensation layer of record. And what that means is you're going to have your operational data through your ServiceTitan, your house call, your jobber, those platforms. Then you're going to have maybe your accounting data and things like that. But you really need this compensation layer to incentivize and to motivate your employees. And what we've done is we've created this platform that helps them create incentive plans for employees, specifically mainly for technicians, right? If you think about a technician in the trades, most of them are hourly employees, right? And hourly, if you're just paid hourly, it doesn't really align with the goals of the business, right? Because your incentive is to just get more hours. So if I'm an HVAC technician, I'm going out for an install on a new system, a boiler, something like that, it should take maybe 8 hours, right? But if you are incentivized to do that job faster than the 8 hours and have average ticket maybe increase a little bit, have no recall or callback, ultimately, the technician is going to follow the incentive, right? And when they follow the incentive that's aligned with the business, it's also a better experience for the customer, right? So we're helping the technicians actually make more money by doing jobs faster. The businesses make more money because they're doing more jobs in less hours. And then the customers are getting a better experience. So we're putting together these plans for hundreds now of home service companies in the trades. And we're seeing their performance improve pretty drastically. We just did a webinar last week of a company that added over $1 million in the first few months after rolling us out. And they, just by improving average ticket and reducing callback, just two kind of big KPIs. Yeah. So that's what we're doing in the trades is we're helping them create and manage incentive plans and put together a beautiful dashboard and software around it.
I love the angle that you've got creating these incentive plans. And what I hear you saying is we're helping you further engage your workforce because engagement is a big part of my world. This is really engaging these guys. You're not saying you're charging more or anything else. You've already baked in what the labor hours are into your bid when you go out here. And if the guy can do it faster, you both get to share in the upside. I mean, that's what you're saying, right?
Exactly. And a few things that we've done, I think with incentives, there's a lot of psychology. We do a lot with leaderboards and scoreboards, and not only just show the numbers and the data, but then also then tie dollars to it as well. I think like that's kind of was the missing piece. A lot of people will have these dashboards and stuff. The employees are engaged. You want to show them where they stand compared to their peers and then also reward them for doing those things, right? And that's exactly what we're doing. I think it's, hey, let's get engaged and let's perform at the highest level.
Yeah. No, and I love it too, because these are things that people are already thinking about. You're giving them the tool to track and manage and make it simple. Because when things are hard, I've been around the trades long enough. When things get hard, we look for a different thing to do. Like, I think that's just
Yeah.
human nature. And you guys are really simplifying it. And you're helping them rethink this idea of compensation along with this incentive comp. I've heard so many times, oh, everybody will leave me for 50 cents more an hour.
Yep.
And I don't believe, the data will show you that's not true. I don't believe that's true. People leave bosses before they leave for money. But what you're doing now is you're giving visibility into what these guys can really earn too, correct?
Yeah. So that's one thing that we've learned over the past couple of years. We will show a technician, hey, if you're getting, let's just say $20 an hour, right? $20 an hour. Let's say you had 100 hours for this month, or let's say on a weekly basis, you had 40 hours, right? But then you got another $1,000 in incentives because you had no callbacks, you got a couple of reviews, you did your jobs in less hours than it should have taken. So we'll show the technician their effective hourly rate. So if they were base at 20, maybe they're 32 once you factor in the incentives, right? And by showing them their effective hourly rate, they start to anchor and think of themselves as 32. They're not going to leave for a $25 an hour job because their base is 20. So I think kind of bringing that front and center, and then also showing them like, hey, you could potentially be up to $40 an hour if you just did the job a little faster, or maybe sold an extra membership or two. Just show them the upside, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you want a raise? Yeah, I want a raise. Here, let me show you how you get that raise. Boom, boom,
And
boom. You do those
and you can
things.
have it this week. You don't
You
have
can
to
have it
wait
this
6
week.
months to perform, right? For me to get around to
Exactly.
it.
Let's get you that raise. Let's get you that. I want to give you the raise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's funny. One of our customers said that, and I did a little interview with him, Jared from Clogbusters. He's like, had an employee come to me and said he wanted a raise. And he's like, all right, awesome. Let's do it. What do we got to do? How are we going to get you there? And I just
Yeah.
love that approach, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think in the industry, we want our people to be paid well. We want them to feel like we're taken care of, but we lack usually the tools, the reporting, the words sometimes to create the visibility for them of what they're getting.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of, especially in construction, I've heard a lot of people, they leave because the other guy promised them more overtime. Who wants to work more overtime? They don't really want to work more overtime. They just want to make more money.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying. And then, of course, the overtime lasts for a month and then they come back later and they're like, well, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. And we have this problem in this industry because we haven't rethought compensation in a long time. And that's what you guys are doing over at ShareWillow. What was the gap that you originally saw? Like, why get into this? Like, why help companies with incentive plans?
So I had a startup before this called PhoneWagon, and it was call tracking software. We ended up getting acquired by CallRail, which is like a big kind of call tracking software system for small businesses. And a lot of the clients were in the trades, right? And most of our customers, though, were actually agencies that were managing lead gen and ad spend for companies in the trades. And what we would hear time and time again, they would drive them a phone call from a guy who wants, who has a need for an HVAC or a plumber, and they weren't able to close it because they didn't have any availability, or they would close it and the guy did a bad job. And there was always this disconnect between marketing and then the actual business who was fulfilling it. And it's like, what's happening now? And it's like, they just couldn't find great people. And the problem ended up kind of surfacing that it's not the leads that were the problem or the marketing. A lot of times it was, the employees. And it's like, how do I find and retain and incentivize employees? And then a couple things happened. Then I actually sat next to the owner of the largest independent moving company in the United States, this guy, Chuck Kuhn, who owns a company called JK Moving and Storage in Northern Virginia. Hundreds of millions in revenue, like they kill it. And I sat next to him at this wedding randomly, and he was like, we do this profit share every single year. He like cuts a big check. He poses with the employees with this big check. It's millions of dollars now. And he's like, our employees love it. I share in the upside with them. They're really engaged. They love it. I take pictures with them and they know kind of how they're tracking. I'm like, wow, that's like super interesting. Then I saw another guy, Nathan Barry at ConvertKit, did some form of profit sharing. Then I saw Buffer did some form of profit sharing. Then I kept hearing Tommy Mello talk about performance pay. And he does only kind of like, it's not called profit sharing, it's more performance pay, but there's no hourly, I believe, for a lot of his garage door installers. So I'm like, okay, all of these like companies that are outliers are doing some type of profit or incentive for the guys. It's not hourly, right? That seems to be this commonality. Surely there needs to be a platform that you can kind of manage it, see benchmarks, figure out how to do it, roll it out. And there wasn't. It's like everyone was doing it manually, hacking together Google Sheets, now asking ChatGPT, but there's no like visibility and stuff. Everyone was kind of like doing it manually. So the big insight that I saw was I felt like this should exist in the world, and I started talking to people about it. I was talking to business owners and they're like, yes, this is a huge problem, huge problem, huge problem. Labor costs ballooning north of 20%. And so then I decided I was like, I'm going to go all in like this. I really like this space. I love working with companies in the trades. It feels like a big opportunity if you can solve it. And it's hard, because everyone's on different platforms. Everyone uses these platforms differently. But yeah, I think the biggest insight was just me working day in and day out with these companies at my prior startup, and then just realizing this is a big problem and it needs to be solved.
Mm. Yeah. So I think it's fantastic. And I know a couple of the names that you mentioned, and I've heard about, the performance pay, the incentive pay. We don't get into pay a whole lot in the work that we do. We really focus a lot on culture. So my next question for you is, this feels to me like a part of the solution, not the entire solution. Talk to me about that, because I can imagine people listening right now thinking, well, this is great, but I don't have more money. Are there other things I can do? And, we could argue that there are, but I think that this is an amazing tool to share in the upside, because the one thing that I know about people in the trades is they love their people. Like, if you don't love your people, you shouldn't be in the trades, but like they want their people to win. They want that success. But how does culture play into this whole thing and making sure that it's not just always about the money?
So I think a couple things. First, I do want to address like, oh, I don't have any money. The way that you design the plans is that it completely pays for itself with the improvements that get made. For instance, like you're not going to pay out any incentives unless certain metrics get hit or certain improvements are made, right? So if I'm able to move my average ticket size from 800 to 1,000, and I have 20 20 technicians, and they're doing 20 jobs a month, like that's a huge lever that, or if I'm doing 40 jobs a month as a technician, but 10 are callbacks, I'm only doing 30 net new jobs. If I'm able to reduce that to 5 callbacks, now I'm doing 35 net new jobs. So the idea is like the incentives completely pay for themselves with all the amount that you pay out and with the ShareWillow fees. It's like it completely pays for itself 10x, right? So that's like the first thing. But I think like you're right. If I want to incentivize on average ticket size, right? How do I tell them to increase average ticket size, right? A lot of times then there's good, better, best. And should I present it in a way? I actually heard Tommy Mello talk the other day, and he's like, I never say it's, this is our most expensive. He says, we use top of the line, right? Their most expensive is positioned as this is top of the line, right? And so there's a messaging component. But like, what we do is we kind of like, I would say, come after, or if you're working with, your group, or if you're working with a sales training group, or, we work with like CEO Warrior, right? So like they're going to kind of go and train in all this. And then it's like, hey, then let's put the incentives in place to do all those things that you just talked about, right? You're right. It does have to come with like all of these other potentially systems or trainings or engagements that you want to happen. And then this is sort of like how we're going to track and measure, right? Because what you incentivize is what's going to happen. But Elon Musk just tweeted something about that. Or Charlie Munger, right? He's like, show me the results, I'll show you the incentives.
I love this line that you have on your website. It says, motivate employees to act like owners without the complications of equity. And I have heard so many owners say, I just want them to think like me. I just want them to own it. They talk about the book Extreme Ownership, like it's all about ownership. And that's really what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, there's an upside, but you're going to get to share with me. So talk a little bit about what's that mindset shift for employees to start acting like owners that you're talking about here.
Yeah, look, I think if you're just clocking in and you're just like incentivized on your hours, like you're not going to go the extra mile. You're not going to necessarily care about the customer. You're not going to like do those extra things. I think there's like sayings, what you do when no one's looking, that kind of mindset. If you think about it, if I call an owner to come into my home, firstly, like you're letting someone into your home to fix something or to do a remodel or something like that. So that's like a big kind of hurdle that you need to get over. And then it's like if it's the owner, they're probably going to like put the little shoe booties on. They're probably going to knock instead of ring the doorbell because friends knock and strangers ring doorbells. They're going to do all these like little things that make you feel good about the experience. And then at the end of the day, a lot of times too, what's interesting, if you're in like restoration, right? We have a lot of restoration companies, mold
Yeah.
restoration, water damage, and things like that. You almost have to be like empathetic because like their home just got damaged, their childhood or photos of their children. So there's like almost like a therapeutic element that you need to have and be like very empathetic to like their things getting destroyed. So it's like, can you give the customer this experience that makes them feel like you care about them? And that's the difference between an owner and employee. Otherwise, they're like, all right, you kind of bust in, you're like, where's it at? And then you just like charge downstairs. They're like, all right, cool, yep, get the thing. And it's just like very transactional. And I think like the difference between an extreme ownership and that owner's mindset versus an employee mindset is that like you're gonna make the customer feel cared about, and they're gonna make them, feel like, you got it under control. Cause the other thing too, and sorry to go on a little monologue, is that you also want them to know that like you've seen this all the time. It's like, look, I totally get it. I am so sorry. Well, we did this for a couple other companies, and we're gonna be able to fix it for you. It's almost like a doctor when you're like, I have this
Yeah.
chest pain. It's almost just be like, look, like comfort them. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
What's it called? The
Yeah,
table
they're
talk.
no longer pencil whipping it because they're thinking, "Hey, there's value in this for me now."
Hmm.
To spend a little bit of extra time to make sure that the customer is happy, to make sure I do the job right because I do not want the callback. Like, they start thinking a little bit more like it's their business without it becoming their business.
Just to tack on to that, it's like you should almost incentivize them to spend that extra time because like what do they get? They might get the referral, right? They might not get the callback. They might get the, hey, now the customer is going to trust you that when you do present a top of the line and you're able to maybe story tell about why they should get the top of the line because like you're not going to have to worry about any breaks and it's going to be ultra quiet and you're not going to have to hear any hissing that sometimes these lower end performers get, and you're like heard more. When you're
Yeah.
trusted and heard more, then you're able to give the customer what they want. And again, let the customer choose, but a lot of them will choose top of the line if you present that offer.
Yeah, I mean, that just reminded me of Zappos, right? Like they were their customer service reps were incentivized to keep people on the phone to learn about their hopes, their dreams, their goals, their things that they wanted, so the next time they could better serve them. And
Yes.
that's all we're doing here. I mean, I call an HVAC contractor into my house for one of two reasons. Either one, they called me and say, "Hey, it's time for your semi-annual preventative maintenance,"
Yeah.
which we all know is a sales call, or something's broken and my wife is like, "It's too hot, it's too cold, get someone out here, fix it." It's only
Yeah.
two reasons. You know what? If I don't have a personal relationship with the person in my home where I don't feel like they care about me just a little bit, I don't care how much they want to upsell me. I just need the thing fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if you don't trust them. We just got the HVAC system here for the heating in our office was like broken, and like it took 3 callbacks. And it's like I stopped trusting them at some point because like it kept being more things. Oh, it's going to be this. And then it's like they got me strung down the line. They're like, oh, well, we actually need to get this part too. And I'm like, I felt like there's like those scams. I think it's called like pig butchering or something. They like kind of get you to keep buying in, buying in, buying in. I'm like, I'm so pot committed now. I guess I got to get the board or, all these different things.
It's so funny
Uh,
you say that because we've been talking a lot about the sunk cost fallacy over here because that's exactly what that is. Like, I've already invested this much. What's
yeah.
the next thing? What's the next thing? I've got a vehicle. I got an automobile that's like that. It's like, well, I put 3,000 in last year. Oh, maybe I'll just put another 1,500 in, and by the end of the year, now I'm 4,500 in.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta buy a new car, and we do that. We justify that next little thing, and I think a lot of times technicians think, "Hey, I've just got to get them the next little thing because then I'll be back, and then I can get the next little thing. I can be back." And it's like, what if we just walked in and said, "Hey, I want to serve you because that's where the value comes." And guess what? When I bring you value, value comes back to me, which
Mhm.
normally doesn't happen outside of an hourly rate. But you're changing that over at ShareWillow. And I think it changes the mindset of the tech, and it definitely changes the caliber of tech that that you're able to recruit. Tommy talks about this a lot. When you're like, "Hey, I can show you how to be $1 million producer and I've got the training and the systems and everything."
Yeah.
I mean, guys are like, "I'm hungry. Let's go."
That's the thing. Yeah. You get the top performers. Cause look, at the end of the day, the top if you're an A player, you're competitive. You almost want the scoreboard. Imagine playing a sport and like not keeping score. Like that's not really
Yeah.
interesting. So it's like you need the scoreboard and then your top guys sort of rise, right? Like we have some guys on some companies that are making over 150K. As this 19-year-old tech, this guy named Max at Clogbusters, making over 150K annualized at this company. And like he's just a dog. Like he was a wrestler. It's like you can just know when these guys are like competitive and they're like, let's get it done, like stop messing around. And then it's like the other guys, like they have no time for bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like if you're not there to win, it's like get out of the way. Like they say A players only want to work with A players. And that just levels everyone up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we're not messing around right now. I'm here to win. I'm here to do a great job. And like I want to put numbers on the scoreboard. And I think similar to what Tommy said, if you just track that, you will see the results follow.
Yeah. So as you're looking ahead, because you're seeing this all over the country, you're seeing this in different industries. As you're looking ahead, what excites you most about this idea of compensation design, this idea of incentive plans, and that mindset around employee ownership? Like, what's the opportunity?
So I think a few things get me really excited. I think the more companies that we work with, actually the smarter and better service and offering we can provide because we get smarter. If you think of us as like this model, right? As we ingest more data and we're hooked up to more ServiceTitan accounts and we have more customers going live, we know which incentive plans actually work because we can see before and after working with ShareWillow. So like the more companies we work with, the smarter we get, the better recommendations we can provide. But I think like at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for these hundreds of thousands of home service companies to all be operating at maximum efficiency. I think there's tons of inefficiencies right now. If you look at like the top guy compared to the bottom guy, the delta's huge, like for
Mm,
number of technicians. I was just talking to a company that has 60 field technicians, over 100 employees in Massachusetts. And he was like, the delta between his top kind of 10 technicians and his bottom like 40 is crazy. And if he can move those bottom 40 up, it is millions of dollars a month for him because
yeah.
it's a big business. So I think like the opportunity is so big. And also it's such a win-win, right? Like the technicians make more money, the business makes more money, and the homeowners get a better experience because the jobs are getting done faster and there's no like kind of bullshit happening. So like that's what really excites me. And I just think also everyone is like doing random stuff right now. Like it's so crazy. I see so many spreadsheets and these PDF docs, and people have like 100 spiffs on different products. Like it's crazy. You're like, oh, this air purifier over here, air quality thing is worth this much, but like it's like crazy. It's crazy, and there's
Yeah.
no way the technicians understand all of that.
And I look at incentive comp, and I've seen some sales compensation for just your salespeople that were so complex, the salespeople didn't even understand them. They're like, I don't even know how much I get paid on this. I don't know how much. And it ruined their motivation. It
Yeah,
ruined that incentive because they made it so complex. And when you do that and you say, oh, there's an extra 3% on indoor air quality over this, the technician's like, I just want to fix stuff. That's what they want to do.
yeah,
They
yeah,
just want to fix stuff. They don't want to have to calculate what's the better thing to sell. I mean, those are salespeople, which I get that in the service world, that's what we're doing. You got to have both sales and everything else. What I heard you say was we get to start focusing on hiring people for their attitude, not necessarily just their skills, the things that motivate them, that driven personality. That's what we start looking for. And we start
yeah,
closing the gap. And I imagine that example you gave where the top 10 and the bottom 40, there's probably some in the bottom 40 that are like, these guys don't need to be here because there's nothing we're ever going to do to motivate them to
yeah,
get them to
yeah.
really perform. But when your
Yep,
top 10 start performing at a higher level, you don't need as many technicians, especially the
exactly.
ones that you've been just bankrolling forever.
So it's interesting you say that. Oh, I'm working with this company now. They have these big crews on jobs. I forget, but sometimes their crews are like 7 people. And the guy was like, once he's like, we could probably drop 1 or 2 people out of the crews once we're able to get the crews up to efficiency. And by doing, and not like drop them, fire them, but like move them maybe to their own crew, right? Because we can
Yeah,
just
start a
do.
brand new
So
crew.
then at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, you can just do more jobs with your existing people, right? So you're already kind of baking in that labor cost. But now instead of over 100 jobs, it's over like 120 jobs, way more profitable. um,
Yeah.
because it's for the same amount of labor that you already are factoring for 100 jobs. We definitely see that, right? And we're like, hey, can we just get more output, more productivity from our existing technicians? And that's what people want anyway, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really about creating the incentive structure that allows them to operate at maximum productivity.
Well, and I personally feel like creating the plan is one thing that you have to do, but if you don't have a tool that can track everything and manage everything like ShareWillow is doing, you're going
Yeah.
to be in trouble. So, talk to me about that for a second because I know you have an offer for our listeners right now who are going, "I need this, Ryan. I don't
Yeah.
know much about it, but can you help me develop the plan?" Talk to us about that.
Okay. This is what we've figured out in the last couple of years. This is how it works. So we're going to start with your data. So we're going to sync your data sources. So let's just say you use ServiceTitan, right? We're going to integrate your ServiceTitan, but then we're going to pull in data sets, which if you use ServiceTitan, you know there's tons of reports. There's all these report categories: accounting, technician dashboard, technician performance board. And then within those, then there's the reports, the master pay file, if you use that for hours, all of these different reports. So we firstly will ingest your data and pull that in. And then this is the thing that I think we have nailed recently is we've created what we calling this metrics hub. So we'll create a metrics hub, which then we create incentive plans off of these metrics. But we need to sync the data from your data sets from ServiceTitan into the metrics. And if like ServiceTitan, again, like even revenue isn't super clean and easy to get because you might need revenue for a technician, but there could be two technicians on the job as performed by, but then also maybe another guy sold by. So you might need to do, the performed by technicians, maybe do a job split. And if job status is closed, we do all that logic and then we sync it up with your metrics. Okay. So then what we do is we take your data and we give you insights. Hey, this is what's currently happening in your world. And here's areas to improve. And we create plans around improving those areas. We're not going to if you're booking your jobs at 95%, and you're attaching memberships at 80%, we're not going to recommend, hey, let's improve those numbers. Like those are already pretty optimized, right? But we're going to say, hey, if your labor efficiency is like 50%, it's like, dude, we got to get that to 80%. And if you get it to 80%, that's an extra $1.2 million for your
Yeah.
business, right? We're going to ingest your data. We're going to sync it up to the metrics so that it makes sense because the data is really, really important here because you have to give everyone real-time visibility. So that's what we're doing. And then we're creating plan recommendations based on what we see with your data against benchmarks. So now we know other 20-person HVAC companies in Tampa, Florida. And if you're doing residential installs, like here's like an average install time, right? And what is your average install time? We know, if you're doing a pool service company in California, it should be this, right? So we'll give you plan recommendations. And then we have mobile app for all the guys, give them leaderboards, give them visibility. But that's how we do it. We basically data sets and all the data sync to metrics with the logic behind it. And then we create the plans based on benchmarks from thousands of other companies, tens of thousands of plans. And I think that's, again, the secret sauce that I'm talking about is, we get smarter the more plans and more people we have going live. And I think that's why we're starting to really see this snowball now because we're like kind of just getting smarter with the more customers we have.
That's awesome. Awesome. So, how do people learn more about what you're up to? Maybe they want to reach out, connect with you. They want to see the
Yeah.
platform. They want these plans built. How do they do that?
ShareWillow.com or go to our Instagram. I'm starting to post a lot of content there. Even on ShareWillow.com, if you're not ready yet, we have free tools, free template. I've been doing free, like all these little like bonus calculator tools that you can kind of get a light version of ShareWillow completely free. You'll probably see, some of our content, but go to ShareWillow, go to our Instagram, check us out. One offer that I did have for the listeners here. So we have a setup fee that's optional, but most people get it because they want us to go through and build their plans. It's called a plan design fee, and we'll integrate all your data. We'll build the plans for you. We'll show you insights. We'll create training material for your employees. We'll even join those calls. It's usually a one-time $3,000. For the listeners here today, $1,500. So it's half off for anyone that listens and mentions this podcast. So I feel like that's a very strong offer. I feel super confident even at the 3K price point. So I don't like kind of coming down, but for the listeners, $1,500 for that plan design fee to create the plan for your company.
I mean, I don't know if they can hear it, but I can hear your excitement, your enthusiasm for being able to support these contractors with this plan. I mean, it's just going to level up the industry the more people that you touch with these ideas and these tools. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been amazing. So go back, check this one out again, and reach out to them. Just see what they're up to. I mean, go check out their website. Got a lot of great information. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Ryan Englin here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a Titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.